been known to watch an episode or two of Grey's Anatomy, or 338, which is every single show. In this recent episode, when Catherine said, "Miracles aren't always punctuation marks, but they are worth celebrating," I paused. I didn't pause the TV, I just paused. Because I think of miracles as these huge, impactful events. Things that take your breath away. Things that make you laugh or cry or scream. I loved being able to consider that the idea that they are not always these huge, amazing events, but that they may even be just everyday, ordinary things. Sometimes they may almost be overlooked, like taking a shower. I've had the opportunity to spend some time in India, and since then I don't take it for granted that I can walk in my bathroom, let the shower get to the perfect temperature, and take a pretty long shower. Unless, of course, my son Luke has been in the shower first. In which case it's a little shorter, because he's a former swimmer, and he loves the water and will spend as much time as possible in it. These days, showers are his only way to get his water fix, and he takes full advantage. But there's nothing better than getting into a shower after you've been working outside and you're covered with sweat and dirt. Or on a cold day, it feels incredible to step into a shower that is the perfect temperature. Every day I do it, and I have no idea how the technology works, to bring clean, warm water to me anytime I want it. But I do think it's somewhat of a miracle, and it is worth celebrating. I recently had the opportunity to attend Luke's college commencement, which, by the way, was a real miracle. Not really, just The commencement speaker was Judge Sarah Evans Barker. I need to get her title right. Okay. A senior United States District Judge of the United States District Court for the Southern District of Indiana. One of the messages to the young adults was that in life there are no ordinary people. She shared the story of a fellow lawyer at the time named Lou. It was a Saturday. Lou had agreed to do a pro bono case for a friend's housekeeper. It was a bit of a typical story, a kid who had made a lot of bad decisions and hung out with the wrong people and was now in trouble with the law. Lou was distressed because a fellow colleague had just been sworn in to be a judge in the highest court in Indiana, and here he was helping a wayward person on a Saturday morning, for free. I listened intently because I expected to hear something to the effect that with Lou's help, this young man turned his life around and became a doctor, lawyer, or a teacher. Or maybe he just made better decisions and became a great husband or father. But that message never came. Judge Barker went on to say that this was an ordinary day for Lou. But for that mother, and hopefully for that boy, it was somewhat of a miracle, albeit without a punctuation mark. What if we looked for punctuationless miracles in our ordinary everyday life? Not just today, but tomorrow and the next day and the next day. What would be different? What if we showed gratitude for what might otherwise seem mundane? In the Faith and Values section of the Indianapolis Star just a few weeks ago, Greg Clapper wrote an article about how Scripture teaches us that forgiveness and gratitude are important keys to happiness. In the article, he wrote about Martin Seligman, one of the principal founders of the positive psychology movement. Dr. Seligman grew tired of dealing with what was wrong with people and wanted to study what helped people flourish. In other words, what made people happy. This research led to the writing of his book, Authentic Happiness, which was published in 2002. Interestingly, several of the studies point to what those with faith regard as foundational. Among them was gratitude. Seligman and his researchers found that having a grateful attitude, being a person marked by thankfulness, deepens and enriches your happiness. In particular, he wrote that people who made a list once a week of 5 things that made them grateful were, on the whole, happier than those who did not count their blessings. So in my mind, to get a list of 5 things every week that you're grateful for and not repeat every week, you need to go beyond the typical. My family, my health, nature, my faith community, and chocolate. It's in there. You probably need to look for the wonderful in the ordinary. I I admit that I was really challenged to have gratitude for the mundane and ordinary, but at the same time I was fascinated, and I really wanted to try. A good friend of mine has a gratitude journal. I need to correct that. She has many gratitude journals. She fills them up really quickly. She has written in a gratitude journal for years. What I love about hers is that she doesn't care what her writing looks like. She doesn't have to use the same pen all the time. She glues things in it so it's bumpy with paper edges hanging out and it's difficult to close, but in so many ways it's perfect. She inspired me to start one last February, and I have to admit, even though it's been right beside my bed for months, I only did it occasionally. Unlike her, I did find myself wanting what I wrote to be perfect, with a perfect black fine point pen and no words crossed out for misspellings or mistakes. And to be honest, it seemed like every time I go to bed, I'm too tired to be grateful, even though I have so much to be grateful for. So knowing that this message was coming, I decided that I would commit to writing down at least one thing that I'm grateful for every day for 4 weeks. And it would add to the few sparse words of appreciation I already had in the journal. I wanted to focus on the ordinary, the miracles in my life that don't always have punctuation marks. After 4 weeks, I got out my journal and I started going through what I'd written. And you know what? It was really awesome. Anais Nin once said, "We write to taste life twice, in the moment and in retrospect." And in my journal, I've been able to go back and remember wonderful things that might have easily been forgotten with the hectic pace of everyday life. I wrote about remembering a conversation with Luke that I had quite a few years ago. I asked him where he had gone with friends the previous night, and he said that he had gone to Hooters. Now you have to know Luke, but he's just not the kind of kid that hangs out at Hooters. So I said, "Seriously?" To which he said, "Say what you want about Hooters. They really know how to prepare chicken." It's a true story. I had one day that I was grateful for the sunshine. You guys are still laughing at that, right? Since it got up to 61 degrees after being negative 11 the previous week. I wrote that I was grateful that my family loves my meatloaf, which is actually funny because I don't even eat meat. I can't even mix it together. I just put all the ingredients in a bowl and ask someone to mix it together for me. They're usually very willing because it means they get to eat my meatloaf. In the gratitude journal, I shared my gratitude about Netflix because I was able to discover and binge watch the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, which made me laugh during monotonous miles on the treadmill when it was cold outside. I wrote about books I enjoy because I believe an author who can put words to paper to create a story that you can't put down is a gift. And Delia Owens did that for me in the book Where the Crawdads Sing. Based on the inspiration of my friend, I put pictures in my book, like Channing Tatum. That's one reason my husband is not here today. And I put cards or notes from friends. I wrote down quotes that I loved, like this one: "Silent gratitude isn't much use to anyone." I even wrote words that I loved. Flawsome, which means we are flawed, but we are awesome. I wrote about going to see the movie Bohemian Rhapsody with Luke and being thankful for the talent of Freddie Mercury and Queen, especially the song Bohemian Rhapsody, that I have sung in the car at the top of my lungs with many friends and family. My kids were Queen fans before they were in grade school. They would ask me to play Bohemian Rhapsody so we could belt it out at the top of our lungs on the way to daycare. At the time, they did not get all the words right, but that made it even more fun. Going to the movie that day with Luke was special. After the movie, we went somewhere for wine and charcuterie, which is another favorite word of mine that's noted in my gratitude journal. And then we went home and pulled up the real Queen concert from Live Aid and watched it on YouTube. We compared it with what we'd just seen in the movie. And then we watched Avengers: Infinity War. I was consciously grateful for being able to spend the day with Luke. I know that soon those opportunities will be even more limited as he becomes even more independent. In that spirit, I asked Luke what he was grateful for. You know what he said? Water. So as you leave today, we'd like to give you your own gratitude journal. Please don't worry about using the right pen or misspellings. I I encourage you to focus on the incredible, amazing, boring things that make life wonderful. And every once in a while, take a look back and reflect on how awesome life is. And we look forward to seeing you next week when Nancy talks about celebrating Dad. #NotAnotherTie. Have a great Sunday and go in peace.